Welcome to another Back to the Basics Monday. This is a pretty simple episode this week, but it should be a good overview for those just getting started. We will not be focusing on editing just yet, but we'll focus on what you will see when opening Premiere up for the first time and a few things you should do before you get started. So let's go. Let's get started with one of the most self-explanatory and simple steps of this whole tutorial: opening Premiere. Assuming you've already purchased the Adobe Cloud, you're going to want to open the Adobe Cloud application and make your way to all the app tabs on the top left. Next, find where it says Premiere Pro and locate the Open button beside the title. And we're in. Now that we've opened Premiere, we need to first create a new project. Once Premiere has taken, 30 minutes to open, look to the top left of the Welcome tab and find the New Project button. Now we've opened another project tab with a ton of scary looking words and letters, but upon closer inspection, it's all very simple. The top bar is where you can name the project, and the location bar is where you can choose where to save the project to. Below these options are 3 more tabs, one dealing with display formats and rendering options, another with options to save different parts of the project separately, and the last deals with a few different advanced background options. Now, going back to the first tab, it's typically preferred to use GPU acceleration or CUDA playback engine for rendering. And we'll go into detail about the differences between the CPU and GPU rendering and how to set it up in a different episode. The rest should be fine as it is. Now we click OK and continue on to our project. Now, before we start editing anything, we're going to need to set up auto-saving. Anyone who has dealt with Premiere for a few sessions know how important this step is. With frequent crashing that can occur at any time and for pretty much any reason, it's a must-have to potentially save hours of your work. To set this up, navigate to the small edit button on the top left and find Preferences. Now, click Autosave. The next part is really up to the user, as it depends on how often you want your project to be backed up, as well as how many versions can be saved at a time. I would recommend that you set it to autosave your project every 60 seconds. Once you set it up how you want, click OK and head back to your workspace. Workspaces are one of the most versatile things in Premiere. The way your workspace is set up completely depends on your editing style and goals in that specific project. If you look towards the top on the application, you'll see a few presets you can choose from and alter from there. From the Learning tab, Assembly, Color, and more, you'll have multiple different setups to help you in every aspect of your project. Other options can be beneficial if you have 2 monitors to drag different blocks to, such as the timeline or the media browser, for maximum efficiency. I would recommend the editing workspace as the best one to get started with and feel out how Adobe works before eventually expanding out and customizing your workspace to what works best for you. Another important step to working in Premiere that's often overlooked is organization. There are many benefits to this, as your project can quickly become cluttered and confusing to work with. The bigger your project gets, the more complicated it becomes, and having your files organized is key to maximizing efficiency. One way to organize files is to actually do it outside of Premiere. Here's a basic example of how I will sometimes organize files for a project I'm working on. Now, you can do this any way you want, but just notice how everything has a specific folder to add files to: sound effects, video files, project files, photos, music, etc. Having it set up this way or similar allows you to quickly find where your files are located and keep you from having to do deep dives on your computer to find missing files for projects. As you continue to work on videos, the more organized you stay, the faster you'll be able to edit, and you'll have less problems when pulling up old projects. And that's our episode for today. We'll be going more in depth about the editing process in future episodes as we continue our Back to the Basics series for those creatives just starting out. If you are itching to get editing and want some basic editing tips, check out the link below. Thanks for watching today's episode. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel below. Until next time, this is John Owens with Frame Voyager.